Welcome back to Trojans Live, the first of a handful of spring shows that we will do leading up to nothing, because there's no more spring games. So it's pretty much just us hanging out here for a month, talking ball, and getting to meet some of the spring sport athletes, which is really cool. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody Kessler, and Keely Yore, of course, joins us now for our football roundtable. I asked you guys to sort of come up with your spring storylines, and I figure we're all sort of in agreement on the first, and Coach brought it up, but it seems like the new defensive coordinator seems to be storyline number one.
For sure, and we've been getting to know him this offseason. He's spoken to the media twice now, and I've just been impressed with his ability to kind of, when you have a head coach come in who's been a now College Football Hall of Fame head coach, how does he adjust to being a defensive coordinator and having other guys on his staff who've already been here? And talking to him, it feels like he takes a role of, not only am I teaching the players that I have, I'm teaching the coaching staff as well. I'm trying to impart my wisdom on them. And then talking to some of the guys like Trevon Reed, like they've kind of been a sponge soaking it in. But it's been interesting just to see how they're kind of blending both schemes, the last scheme and Patterson's scheme, and changing the terminology, but trying to blend it to make sure that they can get moving as fast as possible.
Yeah, defensive guys kind of talking the same language anyways. I'm sure the terminology kind of changed. Offensive guys talking the same terminology. So I'm sure they just have to learn, you have to kind of translate the English to the whatever language you're learning there. So it's I think when, as a defensive lineman, Coach Skylar Jones taking over there up front will be a really interesting thing to watch, because he was under Coach Henderson, and now he's taken over there in his role, so he's going to have his own way of coaching, and then he's coaching with Coach Nua. So I think that interaction with those guys up front is going to be something that has to meld with Coach Patterson's coordinating skills. So it's that front I want to kind of to watch up front.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it plays out. We're getting polar opposites. We had Denton Lynn, who was a young first-time defensive coordinator, obviously at UCLA, and then came over to USC. But now you have Patterson, who's a veteran in this space and has been around a lot. And I think that's going to play to an advantage for USC this year, because Lincoln Riley talked about, we have the roster, we have the depth, we have the pieces of the puzzle to go out there and compete. Now it's just putting guys in the right places to succeed. And a guy like Patterson, who's seen everything and really has handled in-game adjustment, has handled away games, home games, all these different things that you see as a coach can help the team out in that defensive meeting room. So I'm excited to see what he does this year. I'm excited to see the scheme, how they work around the players on the field, and it should be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting to me, too, because it's a little bit of a next step situation as opposed to the last DC change, which was sort of like break it down to the studs and start over. It was not working, right? This is different than that. Lynn left. Lynn wasn't fired because things were going terribly. Yeah. He goes on to a different spot. So it is a different situation for Patterson to take over than what Lynn took over.
No, 1,000%. That's why I said they're playing the same as game. That's what Sean Nua said. He said I had to learn it as, okay, this play is this call is this, and that's how they are now the learners and now the teachers to their players. So it's essentially just a blend.
But that's what the best defense coordinators do, and we talk about this all the time. Is I think coordinators that come in, offense as well, and say, this is my scheme. If you don't fit, then get out. Yeah. The best coordinators are the guys that come in and say, this is what this player does well. I want a bunch of positionless players that can fit in any scheme, and I can work around them and tailor it to be something that's successful on the field. And that's something that Patterson, I think, is going to do very well here at USC.
And that's something he's done historically well, is gotten the most out of his players at TCU. And he was saying that he's never had a front as big as this front that USC has. So he's like, I can do more things on the back end because we're not making up for a lack of pressure with a safety blitz or corner blitz. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do development-wise with this type of talent here at USC.
Yeah, I think the best coordinators just always instill confidence in their players. I remember being with Wade Phillips and just thinking, man, I was an undersized nose tackle on a Wade Phillips defense, but the first week he's there, he comes and talks to you, hey, I think I see you in this role. You can do this for us. This is going to be your strength. So those coordinators that do it at that next level, they know how to get, like you said, the most out of their guys.
What's the second biggest storyline of spring? What do you have? Because the two I had, Keely, were sort of just the return of Maava and the offensive continuity, and then this freshman class, which I asked Coach about.
Well, that's what I'm going to build off of. It's a young roster, and I think it's interesting that Coach Riley mentioned about how the time is now. The time is also very young. The majority of the roster is sophomore, redshirt, and true freshmen. 31 of the enrolling class came in midsummer or mid-year. Yes, huge, which is great when you're trying to learn a new defense and trying to get the culture. But this is a young group. This is the group where it seems like GM Chad Bowden wanted this culture-setting group to come in and help lay this culture of this time is now era. And it it seems like, and I've talked to the assistant coaches, it seems like the new guys, like Coach Riley mentioned, they're not shy. They're ready to set the standard as well. So it's interesting to see that play out in spring.
I just think at some of the core positions, you have the guys you want, though. You know what I mean? Even though it's young and you're can add these guys, but at the core spots, you think about left tackle, you think about quarterback, you think about linebackers, you think about edge guys, you think about those kind of core positions on your team are older guys, but then you can kind of supplement with those young guys and learn from them.
I was going to say exactly that, Sean. It's a great point. Is you have stability at key positions on your team that can bring the other guys around or bring them along. I don't need a ton of leaders on a team. I just need leaders at the right positions that can help these young guys out.
And they were very specific in the portal. I think they looked at a couple of the spots that were like, we don't really have anything right now that we're sure of. Let's bring in 2 or 3 guys that we are sure of.
Yeah.
Big-time wide receiver, a big-time cornerback, and you go, okay, now these freshmen can, again, come in, they can compete, they can raise our level, but it's not like, hey, you're out there on an island day one, and we need you to be the best corner in the country kind of deal. So we'll see how that plays out. We just have one more segment to come here on Trojans Live. One final segment of Trojans Live here with Sean Cody, Cody Kessler, and Keely Eeyore. I am Jordan Moore, starting off our spring with an over-under presented by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC Athletics. I'm just trying to get a sense of what you guys think the hype level is of this team. If the AP preseason poll came out right now, over-under, you think right now this team is projected as top 12 or is projected as 13 or worse? Because I always feel like USC football teams end up in 2 buckets going into a season. Super hyped or just like people have given up and they're off the radar, and I'm not really sure where this team lies going in.
Yeah, it's so hard because we're such like inundated. I mean, we're like in this little bubble of USC, and then we're like, oh my god. But I would say outside of the top 12, that's what my brain would think. I think outside of the top 12.
I don't trust the AP anymore after last season, everything that happened. Especially we started outside the top 25 going into last year. I'm gonna go inside the top 12 though, mainly because we're returning Jaden Maiava, who is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I have Lincoln Riley going into his 5th season. So there's a lot of continuity with this team.
QB changeover in some of the top teams.
And I think that's important nowadays in college football is retaining your quarterback. We have one of the best. I think that'll help them maybe jump inside the top 12.
That was pretty convincing, but I'm going to stick with my original answer. I'm going to say off the radar. I think that just usually happens, and then, you see Waymo coming back, you see Jaden, and first couple games, score goes high, they move up.
Regardless of what the outside world thinks, I felt like Lincoln Riley made it clear time is now. I mean, it's obviously their marketing campaign, but he said it several times in his interview. He's bringing it on a little bit this year that they want all the smoke going into this season and believe they have the team to back it up. So we will get to talk again to some of the new coaches and some of the players as we go along this spring. Thank you to our crew. We're done with show number 1. Fight on, everybody.